Hey everybody, welcome back. It's time to lay out a brace. We got 2 braces to cut for this bent so we can stand the thing up and get it pinned together. I'm sorry the videos have been a little bit slow to come out. I've been really busy with work, as I explained in that last video, and so I've been having a hard time finding some time to carve out for this project. I got a few minutes tonight, so I thought we'd lay out a couple of braces. I'm going to lay these out just like Jim does from the Tradesman's channel. He's laid these out a few times on his channel. Seems to be a pretty easy method. He explained it pretty well, so I'm going to do it just like that. If you've seen him do that, this will be a little bit old hat. If not, then I'll show you a couple of tricks to laying these out. They're not that difficult, actually, but there's a couple of things you need to know to lay them out correctly. So we'll do that, and then if we have time, maybe we'll cut one. We may not have time for that, but let's get going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bury the line on this combination square, and then I'm going to mark it. And if I bury that line and then mark it, that should give me right at 3/8 from the edge, which it does, to the top of that line. Okay, and so then I'm going to make this my starting point. Okay, so then what we do, that's 3/8 of an inch up from the bottom, and I'm going to show you why in a second that we do that. I'm going to make a line right through that intersection. Okay, so I went right through the X, right where that cross section is, so that intersects my starting point line and coming up from 3/8 of an inch. Okay, I'm going to do it going the other direction. Make sure we got a good line that's easy to follow right through the X. Okay, so I'm going to mark my 3-inch tenon. Okay, so I'm 3 inches up from this line. That's how big my tenon is going to be. Mark it. So there's my tenon. Okay. Can you guys see how that's going to work? So this is the bottom of the brace, and this is going to be in the bottom of that mortise. And the reason we come up 3/8 of an inch is because from this point to this edge right here, is right at a 1/2 inch. And so this is a 1/2 inch. Remember, we have 1/2 inch housings. And so that's why we do that. And so we're going to come down 2 inches from here once we cut this off. To measure out how long our brace is going to be, we're going to start right at that line, our intersecting line. So 15 sixteenths. Okay, there's our mark. Mark 3/8 of an inch right on my mark that I made earlier. And then we do the same thing. We mark our diagonals right through where that intersects. have our angles cut. So now we have to lay out the tenon. So we're coming down from our top, which is our reference face. 2 inches. So we want to be down 2 inches from this face. And this is our tenon. And it's going to be just a little shy of 2 inches. And that's just because this rough sawn timber isn't quite 4 inches thick. And but what that actually does for me is it's going to make it so this tenon will fit in that pocket pretty easy. Pretty anxious to see how this fits. Since this is kind of officially the first joint I'm ever going to try and fit, see how good I did. Pretty good. It's a little gap right there, but I'm kind of wondering if once I squeeze it together if that'll close. I'll have to pull that out. Double check that, make sure that the housing is pretty much straight up and down, but that's a pretty good fit. I didn't show you cutting the other brace just because they're both identical and it's pretty much the same thing. But we did get them both cut, and actually fitting that in there fit pretty well. We got a little bit of adjustment I think we need to do, but for the most part I was pretty happy with how it went together. Hopefully the rest of the timber frame goes together that nicely. I'm sure it probably won't. I'm sure we're going to have some adjustment we're going to have to do, but it's an encouraging side, and that's for sure. If you're new to the channel and you haven't viewed before, as you can see, we've got a long ways to go on this project. The journey is just beginning. It should be pretty fun. And if you're a regular subscriber, thanks a lot for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. Be sure and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And we're getting close. So we'll see you guys next time.